Welcome to All Villa, No Filler. Remember to subscribe to the show, follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. The winter transfer window has opened, and Aston Villa have been linked to various players already. One of those is Celta Vigo defender Óscar Mingueza. To find out more, today I'm joined by Ruairidh Barlow, who is editor at Football España. Great to see you again, Ruairidh. Always enjoy chatting with you. So what kind of a player is Mingueza?
Yeah, it's good to be back as ever, Frankie. It's a funny one with Mingueza because I think initially I saw like a little bit of him at Versatility in the kind of B team when he was coming through as a teenager, and he was kind of a versatile defender. Played centre back for a lot of his kind of youth career, and played a few games at left back, a few games at right back, and was sort of casting a kind of poor man's Puyol role, if I can if I can insult Mingueza in that sense, because he was kind of tried very hard and kind of put it all out there on the pitch, but wasn't necessarily regarded as the most kind of technically gifted footballer. And when he left Barcelona, I don't think any Barcelona fans were particularly sad about it. But he joined Celta Vigo 2, 3 seasons ago now, and he's gone on this complete transformation as a player. I mean, he's become kind of one of the creative hubs for Celta. He's now in the Spain squad. In the last few squads, he's been participating for them as well. And he's turned into kind of one of those fullbacks where managers like to kind of play with their position a little bit, move them inside, have them in kind of the holes that defenses leave. And so yeah, these days he's kind of a fullback that likes the ball at his feet, somebody that will come inside, will get beyond, but stands out, if anything, for his kind of final ball and his delivery, which has just been amazing over the last kind of year or so, ever since kind of around mid-season last season. And that is one of the few good things that Rafa Benitez did do at Celta Vigo, which was kind of use Mingueza in a more creative role. But under Claudio Giraldez this season, he's gone from strength to strength, and now I think he's a genuine kind of threat that other managers probably plan for when they're facing Celta Vigo.
Right, well, because yeah, I do remember him in his time at Barca, and he wasn't brilliant there. So he's improved pretty massively, you would say, during his time at Celta.
Yeah, dramatically. I think we don't really have kind of comeback player of the season awards here, but he could definitely be kind of in the running for that. I think yeah, again, it's the transformation he's gone through has been kind of remarkable. I don't think anybody really saw this coming, and the way he's kind of turned it around, not only kind of in terms of his own kind of career and just kind of where he is in that sense, but also just stylistically, he's such a different player to what he was, and technically he looks really kind of adept these days, and one of the better kind of technical footballers in Spain's first division, I'd say, which again, it's almost maybe it's a sign of how kind of wrong the football cognoscenti, in which I include myself, can be sometimes, but I don't think anybody really saw this coming.
Yeah, because he obviously plays centre back and he, functions as right back and can play on the left, I believe. What do you think his actual best position is?
That's a good question, actually. I think probably it depends on what kind of style and what kind of system he's being used in. Giraldez for Celta this season has mucked around with a 4-4-2. He's played kind of 3-4-3. I quite like him as that kind of wider player in a 3-4-3. I think that gives him sufficient freedom to go and work kind of in the final third, which is almost kind of becoming where he's at his best these days. But yeah, that kind of gives him the freedom. It gives him the flank to himself. But even kind of looking at him for Spain as well, when he's made his kind of first few appearances at right back in the back four, he's looked completely okay. I would say that he does probably suit a more possession heavy system, which perhaps might not be ideal for Emery. But yeah, once you get him on the ball and kind of going down that kind of flank, whether it be the inside channel or the outside channel, he kind of has a good idea of where the ball should go and how to kind of provide strikers.
Yeah, and what kind of centre back would you describe him as? Does he have ball playing similarities to Pau Torres? Is he a bit more physical, or is he someone who just likes to get forward? Kind of like what Calafiori does. I don't know for Italy.
Yeah, I say if he does sign for Villa, you won't see him at centre back at all. I think, especially in an Emery team, he's not really got that kind of imposing strength. He's quite tall. He's quite a big figure, but he's not necessarily the kind of player um, that I think Emery would consider in a kind of centre back position. And I don't think he's been used there for quite some time. Trying to think of it. Early on in his Celta days, he was in at centre back from time to time, but now more and more it's right back, and I think you're more likely to see him in midfield, to be perfectly honest. He likes to get the ball to feet. He's intelligent in his movement. But I think, yeah, more than anything, the thing that stands out for him now is those kind of incisive passes, whether that be kind of through midfield or whether that's kind of spotting a striker making a run beyond the last defender. I think that kind of, yeah, that inside channel, I don't want to compare him to Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he does do the odd kind of thing that you would see from Trent and think, yeah, okay, that's pretty impressive, that pass there, or finding that space and being able to kind of work off it. And to one of the things that's really good about Celta that he has under Giraldez especially is he has Iago Aspas,
Mhm.
who's very good at finding space and very good at making runs for him. And Celta play with a proper number nine, which also helps and would help at Villa.
Okay, and when he's at that fullback role, Villa kind of their right back with Matty Cash. He does get forward and he does tend to link up quite a bit with Leon Bailey, and he does overlap Bailey. I think in an ideal world we'd have a better attacking player in the final third at right back than we currently do. Cash is a very dependable defender, but he's not brilliant at beating his man. With Mingueza, is he somebody who can beat a player one on one? Is he somebody you think could link up with somebody like a Leon Bailey or let's say a Daniel Marlin if he comes to Villa and can whip a ball in, or he can do intricate passes in the final third? Is he somebody that you think can really contribute in attacking wise as well?
Yeah, I think in terms of what you'll get from him kind of going forward is Bailey will probably be left to kind of beat his man on the outside, or certainly be left kind of the space against the fullback, and Mingueza will look to kind of back him up, and that pass kind of back inside when once it goes out wide, that's where you'll see him kind of at his best. Incisive passes, yeah, I think Mingueza can kind of slip Bailey in behind. I'm making him sound a bit like Iniesta or something, but yeah, I think that's where you'll see the best of him is kind of getting that ball back inside from the winger, or if it kind of comes out to him on the flank, then you'll probably see him look up as opposed to try and kind of drive forward as one of the kind of converted winger fullbacks that we've tended to see in the last 10 years. So yeah, I think again those kind of again half spaces is a term that gets people to equally love or hate you in these days of football speak, but that's probably where you'll see most of him, I think. And Cash is probably a bit more vertical. Mingueza is more kind of a ball to feet, and let's kind of see where my options are.
Okay. And were you surprised to hear that a Premier League club was interested in him? Do you think he'd be a good fit for the English league, or is he somebody you think is a bit more built for Spain?
I wasn't surprised to hear that Monchi and and Unai Emery were
Yeah.
interested in him because not a good performance goes unnoticed by those two. But Mingueza, he's I think although I don't think he's necessarily cut out for being a top level centre half and facing up to kind of the bigger strikers, I think having a grounding as a centre back allows him to maybe kind of cut it as a full back as well. I don't think you'll see too many issues in terms of physicality. And even if I think he's probably standing out more for his ability on the ball, he is still able to get up and down. I think physically he'll be okay in the Premier League. Certainly in Spain, he probably is on a slightly better side physically in terms of stamina, in terms of being able to get up and down the pitch, and also just in terms of kind of his physique, that larger frame. He's not necessarily built stockily, and he's not stocky. He's not kind of there's not a lot of muscle to him, but he is a bigger player, so I think he'll be okay in that regard.
Okay. And he does have quite a few assists this season as well. Am I right? Am I right to think that?
Yep, he's got 5 assists, I think it is, and 2 goals this season in about
Right.
17 games. So yeah, seven goal contributions from 17 appearances is pretty impressive. And
Yeah.
even if you kind of look back to last season when you saw kind of glimpses of it, as I say, under Benitez, and I think he got 2 or 3 assists last season. He's really come on leaps and bounds, and I think that's partly due to kind of the way Giraldez has started to use him and see him as kind of more of a tool, more of somebody that I want to get him in these positions so that he can play these passes. But also kind of in terms of him coming on, him kind of realizing and developing. And he's still quite a young player. He's only kind of 23, 24. So he's still got leaps and bounds to come, I think, in his development. And you're talking about a guy who played until he was about 2021 in the kind of third division with Barca's B team. So he's got room to improve. I think this is his first kind of 2 or 3 seasons playing regularly and having that kind of competitive edge. So yeah, I think Mingueza, even though we see what we do now, and it's quite impressive for in La Liga, at least at the very least. Yeah. Again, as I say, he's one of the kind of primary creative forces this season. He's still got room to develop and become kind of a better player, I think.
Okay. And I guess as a final question, what sort of a price might Aston Villa have to go to if they want to get him in?
I'll tell you what price it is. It's 20 million is the asking price. I think Celta have that release clause in his contract and won't budge from that. I think it's a more than fair price for him, to be perfectly honest. And the kind of caveat, the asterisk to that is that Barcelona get 50% of his transfer fee. So Celta are only going to get 10 million from this deal, even if it's his release clause. So I think they will demand that a fee that's affordable for Villa. The one kind of again, asterisk to that is that Celta, I think, will try to renew him. If I was his agent, I'd be advising him not to renew because he's probably in for a big move sooner rather than later. But his contract's up in 2026, so Celta are going to have to do business, whether that's renewing him now or selling him this summer, I think, or even this January. I think there will be movement on Mingueza sooner rather than later. And even if he does renew, then he'll probably have that agreed that he can leave either at a certain price in a release clause or as more kind of a gentleman's agreement is the term that the transfer experts like. So,
And when you say 20 million, you mean in euros rather than
yes, sorry.
euros,
Yes,
right?
I think that would be about 16 million pounds, if my
Okay.
conversion's right at the minute.
Very, very reasonable price, to be honest, in modern day football, isn't it, for somebody who's Spanish international and such a star in La Liga at the moment. Well, Ruairidh, thanks so much for coming on. I always absolutely love chatting to you. I always feel like I could talk to you for about 24 hours and keep you online, but you know, you got things to do. So, but before you go, where can we find you and Football España online?
Yeah, footballespaña.net is our website. So go there and you'll find all of our kind of articles going up and our exhausting coverage, if you're me, of Spanish football. But follow us on Twitter at Football España _, I think it is. And we're also on Blue Sky these days if you want to follow us there.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks a lot for coming on, Ruairidh.